What is going on, everybody? Non here, and I've been pretty vocal last couple videos just about how many fraudulent accounts are on TCG Player. And today, this is a little bit more of a public service announcement to explain how the scam's currently working and to make sure that you don't get screwed. Now, obviously, TCG Player, to their credit, they cover all the transactions that are fraudulent, anything that you don't get. And I am certain they're fully aware of this, but this is really to help you. So, for those of you who haven't seen, there's been an exorbitant amount of bullshit sellers, class 1 sellers, level 1 sellers, whatever you want to call them, with no feedback. Shadow Spire Games, for example. Los Angeles, no recent sales, no feedback, no anything. This is a level 1 sell. Now, this is under Origins. They're all over the place. 4 items that are under $500, and I will mention this in a second. Here's another one. I like buying Pokemon. Actually, no, this is probably a legitimate account, so I won't talk about that one. The reason why it's not legitimate is because it only has 1 item, right? So let's click on Shadow Spire Games here, and obviously Origins just got a reprint, has been selling through the roof. So I'm going to walk you through the process and walk you how, at least my understanding, is how these scam accounts are basically defrauding the system. So how TCG Player works with level 1 sellers, you're limited to up to 100 items. Up to $1,000 of items can be listed at any one time, and any one item cannot exceed $500. So that's why you're seeing, for example, with this fraudulent account, you have 1 item. It's not over $500. And sometimes you'll see folks that have 2 items on here, like you'll see an Ascended Heroes ETB. You'll see an Ascended Heroes booster bundle. But they're limited here because they're never going to make it to level 2 because they're never going to have any positive feedback. Now, at least 2 more orders that have reached by the expected delivery date, feedback ratio of 80% or above. So they are 100% hitting the first one. They are not going to hit the second one. So the way TCG Player works on their payouts, and this is where I think they can do a much better job of fixing things, and I have some recommendations here after the fact, is once an item is marked as delivered, the clock starts with how long it takes you to get paid out. And generally it's like 10 days to 14 days. It takes a little bit longer than eBay or some of the other sellers do, but that's okay. It's certainly manageable. So if I'm a seller, the sooner I can get product to the end user, the sooner I get paid. We run a lot of troves. We run a lot of special sales. We don't get paid until the items are delivered. Everything's cleared. TCG Player is 100% certain that we're sending valid product. Everybody's gotten their product. Everybody's happy with their product. And then we get paid. And that's fair. Quite honestly, I think it's a great process that they run. However, the way that these folks are gaming the system is you'll place an order with Shadow Spire Games, or they've been an exorbitant amount of them on Lord of the Rings, Commander displays, where the market's $225, they're listing at $200 plus $2 ship, because quite honestly, they don't give a shit. To set up an account, you simply need an SMS number so you can confirm the code, no different than setting up a Walmart account. You can get proxies of those pretty much anywhere up until recently. I know there have been some law changes in the US where the companies generating those now are kind of under a microscope, so it's been a little bit harder to get them. But the way it works is they'll set up an account, and it's a perfectly valid account. They'll place used orders that are way below market, waiting for some dumbass to come and be like, oh, look, ooh, piece of candy, right? It's an item that's 25% below market. They'll buy the item. The seller immediately marks it as shipped. They enter the tracking into the system. The tracking that they're entering, and again, this is my understanding, is they're just sending a package from one address in their town to the next town over. So it looks like it's moving. It's not an actual package to the seller. It's probably just a rock, but their entire goal is to get the initial tracking that green lights the TCG Player system to show delivered to start the clock on payment. Then what they'll do is they will edit the tracking. They'll enter a new tracking number. They'll message the buyer and they'll say, oh, sorry, I sent the wrong tracking. Here's the correct tracking. Now, the correct tracking is about as far as you can possibly get, because what they don't want is you to see the tracking, the scam tracking. They don't want you to show it as delivered, because then you're going to say, "What the hell's my package? Wait, something's up." So they're trying to create as much time between when the TCG Player system, which is now reading that original tracking, says deliver, and when you have a chance to audit and say, "Wait a minute, I didn't get my fucking package. Where's my shit? I just got scammed." And in a lot of times, the end customers, a lot of folks that buy a TCG Player, they buy multiple things. They don't open them every day. Sometimes they travel for work. I've had buyers that haven't opened stuff for months, which in and of itself is its own question. So this gives these sellers an opportunity to scam TCG Player. TCG Player pays them because the tracking shows it's delivered, and you, as pretty much the patsy in this, you're the customer, you never get your product. So once it shows delivered and you finally become wise to the fact that you got screwed, you reach out to TCG Player. They'll reimburse you. Again, to their credit, they have great protections for buyers, but the damage is already done. So the way to prevent this, first of all, if you see somebody listing something with no feedback and it looks too good to be true, don't buy it. Like, don't be an idiot, right? The second thing is, if you see tracking being changed, that's a massive red flag. I would immediately escalate to TCG Player. And I know TCG Player has been, at least my understanding from what I'm told, this is not directly from TCG Player, this is from other sellers, or other buyers. If they buy something and the item gets shipped too quickly, or if they market ship too quickly and it's a legitimate order, they've gotten their account suspended just based on how quickly it's showing as shipped. And again, that leads me to believe that TCG Player is eyes wide open on this. They're trying to fix it. So again, you're out money until they reimburse you on a credit card, which is probably 2 to 3 weeks. They're obviously getting scammed, which hurts profitability, which basically has an impact at a macro level on the entire system. And each one of these little fraudulent sellers is more and more emboldened to do this again and again and again, because the fatal flaw in the system is TCG Player does not have any controls, or I should say controls that are easy to get around, meaning like an 8-year-old can figure it the fuck out, that prevent people from getting on the platform to sell. And that's why there's so many garbage sellers on here. And if you're knowingly selling valid products and you want to lose money on it, that's perfectly fine. Good for the buyers on that stuff. And you're a broke ass Timmy store. I get it. But there's 3 ways that TCG Player can fix this. The first of which is, if you're not a level 4 seller, they should be holding all of your funds in escrow for at least 30 days for the initial run, potentially even 45 or 60 days until there is a long enough period to prove that you're selling legitimate products. And you need to get feedback from multiple customers, written feedback, meaning you as a seller, if you ship items and your buyer doesn't give you feedback, it's your job to reach out to those folks to say, "Hey, can you please give me feedback? I need this to move my account up." That is by far the simplest way to do it. And it's kind of idiotic because every other platform in the world does it. eBay does it. Amazon does it. Until you prove you're not a scammer, they're not going to pay you. So TCG Players controls, I guess they're a little mom and pop-ish because when they were smaller, they weren't a target. Now they're a target. They have deep pockets. They're owned by eBay. So the security and the practices and the policies, they need to tighten up. And look, obviously one of the biggest complaints is, why does it take so long to get paid by TCG Player? Which is valid because a lot of times the payout is a little bit slower than everybody else. But if you create it and you tier the payouts, meaning the first of which is for all the new sellers, as you're basically whitelisting them as legitimate sellers, you're holding the payments longer. The accounts that start to age and you get a track record and you have performance history, you can afford to tighten up the payment terms on that. Again, if your treasury management system allows you to do it and you're not getting smoked with too much interest or et cetera, or I should say you're giving up interest earnings at this point, those are things that you can do to really make both sides of the equation a little bit happier. The second thing you do is you can actually start to vet your sellers, which doesn't currently happen, at least to my extent. I know some other platforms, they have calls with sellers, and I understand 100% that does not work at scale. It's just super, super impractical. And that's why the eBays and the Walmarts and the Amazons of the world, they will hold your payments much longer until you prove you're not gonna scam people. But if there was a platform entry fee, maybe it's $15, maybe it's $20 one time to sign up as a seller, and a recurring monthly fee for $3.99. Because look, having a recurring fee of $3.99 is going to keep your terrible sellers off here, because quite honestly, they're probably not sophisticated. They're probably broke anyway. Folks that are scamming the system, $3.99 a month is probably not going to be a deterrent. If it's a $20 or a $50 one-time setup fee, they might think about that a little bit more. Because again, these guys are trying to defraud you $200 at a time, which, you know, $200 for large sellers is nothing. The fact that they're willing to do this again and again and again for $200 is a little, the risk reward doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But, you know, I live in a little bit of a different world than some of these sellers do. And the third thing you can do is just lock the whole thing down. You don't need new sellers on the platform. There's plenty of liquidity. You know, right now, the problem with TCG Player is there's no value from a selling perspective. Can you gain liquidity? You're sure you can gain liquidity if you lose money. And it's great if you're buying because, you know, the prices are low. But TCG Player, the way it's currently set up with an unlimited number of sellers being allowed on the platform, really does suppress prices in the overall market, the overall economy, which quite honestly just screws them over because their fees are less, because the average price of the transaction is probably 10, 15% lower than what it would be if you just lock the number of sellers. And then, you know, you actually have to qualify to become a seller on the platform. So it really starts to raise the bar from, hey, you know, if you want to sell on a platform, you have to be vetted, you have to be legitimate. And that's what Amazon does. That's what eBay does, or that's what Amazon does. That's what Walmart does. eBay doesn't really do that. But those are all ways where you can increase the quality of sellers on the platform. And quite honestly, you know, I don't want to talk about 10 years ago because I don't remember the quality 10 years ago, but the quality of sellers on TCG Player, quite honestly, is at an all-time low. Because there's so many scam accounts, there's so many fraud accounts. You get into folks that have, you know, pro platforms like we do, and they start using auto price. Some folks are pegging to the low list. So now all these fraudulent accounts are significantly financially impacting other large accounts because they're forcing them to reprice lower. Now, whether that's their own fault or that's just a collateral damage of the system, that's a completely different debate. But all of this stuff needs to be fixed. It needs to be quickly. And, you know, again, I love the TCG Player guys. This should have been fixed months ago. And quite honestly, it is a little embarrassing that it's not fixed yet. And I get it. The IT world of things has been challenging at times. But, you know, they'll get it fixed. They'll move forward. But I wanted to put out a video just so the folks that are buying on TCG Player are aware of what to avoid. Again, most likely you're not going to lose out in the long term. Now, if you sit on a package and you wait 30 or 60 days past the warranty period, then you're most likely screwed. But just be aware. The easiest way for buyers or to keep sellers from trying to defraud the system is stop buying from them. It's not like they're disguised. It's not like they're not obvious. It's the easiest thing in the world. I mean, I had people in Discord after they watched my video last night. They're like, oh, I didn't realize there were fraudulent accounts. It's like, dude, it's 20% below market, you fucking idiot. What do you think it is? You think it's a charitable organization? It's a big corporation? Like, stop, guys. Like, use your fucking heads. Don't be Timmies. If it's too good to be true, guess what? You're going to get scammed. So anyway, guys, like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Discord, and we'll see you tomorrow.